So I have a problem here with my 996 that this seat lever release doesn't work anymore. It's still okay on the passenger side. You can see on this one the lever won't release on either side. If I jiggle it a lot, I can get it to go, but there's something wrong in here. Let's see if we can figure it out. Now I suspect I'm going to have to get the seat out of the car to solve this, so let's start by taking the seat out. I've got these Lloyd mats, so I gotta disconnect that first. I gotta take these plastic trim covers out. So pry gently on that. There we go. So I jiggled and banged on this seat for a while until I was able to get this to fold forward. That'll make it a little bit easier to get at those Torx bolts in the back there. So we're going to use an E12 Torx with this nice long extension and a breaker bar. Best practice to disconnect the battery before you take a seat out because of the electrical connections, but I believe that it should not set a code with the seat disconnected unless you turn on the ignition, so I won't do that. And by leaving the battery connected, it saves me goofing around with the clock and the radio later. I'm using a shorter extension here in the front. I'm going to try not to touch that lever once we have this removed. It makes it easier to put the seat back in, but usually I've only had the seat out a couple of times, but it's easy to accidentally hit that lever. And then to separate the connector, here you can see this slider now that you have to pull out. So now we need to pull this out back here. Yeah, I do not know how to get at this cable and see where the source of the problem is, but I thought we can start by pulling this out. So I understand there are some clips at the top that we need to go up to release. There we go. Alright, let's get this cover off of here. Found a coin in there, not surprising, huh? So you can see there's a kind of a ledge right there that goes over that steel, and then there's a retainer right there that presses into the steel on this side, but I can't really tell what's holding it in front, but I'm just going to leave it like that because there's now enough clearance for me to get this leather out of here. This is retained in a manner similar to the piece that was in the center right here. Just going to pry that out of there. There we go. So at this point, what I'm trying to do is, we know there's a cable attachment up here, but the business end is down here somewhere. Just going by the sound, it seems like it's in here. And so what I want to do is get that exposed well enough so that I can clean it and lubricate it, and I think that'll get the job done unless I see cable damage. So I'm trying to figure out what's the minimum I have to remove in order to expose that, and I'm thinking it's going to be take the leather right here and move it up and then get that bolster moved out of the way. But it could be that I have to get all of the leather off to do this. I'm hoping that I can just do it part way and not remove it up here. So next we'll start working on trying to release this leather here with these retainers. So gently open up these retainers and try to get that leather out of there. So I've got the clips removed, separated up to here. Let's see if that's enough for me to get this around here. So I removed two more of these retainers, disconnected them, and now we have these two plastic pieces that come together here, and this one is secured on the inside also, and that is what is hiding the mechanism, which you can see right there. So if this is now opened up enough, I think if I disconnect these and try to pull this aside, I should be able to get access to that well enough to clean and lubricate that mechanism in there. Because I don't think there's anything wrong up here. I think it's all down here. So I removed 4 screws that were holding these together, and then the inboard one here can be displaced, and now we can see that mechanism, at least the outside of it. So it's buried within this welded up stamping here, so you can see that thing's just not serviceable. So the trick is going to be, can I get some kind of lubricant on this to free it up? The other thing is I'm not sure that it's supposed to have this much slack in it before it even starts moving, and I'm wondering if somehow that contributed. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is take off that little retaining washer right there, and then remove all of this, and then lubricate it, see if I can get any lubricant inside where that sliding mechanism is, if I can see any of that, reassemble it, and then I think I'm going to tighten that adjustment screw right there, see if we can get that cable to be a little bit tighter. Main thing is I don't want that little retainer to fall inside of here, but I think I'm safe. There we go. Yeah, I can't see much in there, but we can get some fresh grease all around that rod right there and hope for the best. Okay, first we'll clean off some of this old grease. to use some white lithium grease, mostly because it's not very dirty looking grease in case we get some somewhere where we don't want it. Now I want to tighten that adjustment screw a little bit. This is a T20 Torx head. Alright, that looks a lot better. And I'm going to drop a little bit of thread locker on there. Put these pieces back together. The screw with the washer goes in this location. This other side looks pretty similar, except that I would say that adjustment screw is even further off on this side. Alright, going to start putting this back together. So it's a little bit tricky. We need to get this feature back underneath here, and at the same time get this foam placed back where it belongs, and then pull the leather around. So we'll see how that goes. So on this side, I felt like, originally there was leather stuffed into this spring right here, and I ended up doing the same thing because it just seems like it's fitting better with some leather stuffed in there. It's kind of weird, but anyway. So trying to get these back into these clips. There we go. You notice these are only part way into this clip. The piping doesn't go down far enough. That's the way it was when I opened up this seat. I'm going to get this plastic trim back on, so I got to lift that leg over that, and then this clip I need to pull this way and get around that stamped steel right there. Let's give that a try. Alright, so we got to get these fitting on that bar right there, and then we'll pull this tight from underneath and clip it on the back side. Okay, well, it seems to be clipped in place. Okay, that looks pretty good. And this seems to be moving better now. So the trick will be, does it keep working well or not? One thing for sure is that by eliminating that play in that cable, this overall feels much better. And hopefully that lubricant took care of between the lubricant and the tightening of the cable, hopefully we've solved this problem now. Alright, some planning ahead for putting this back in the car is that I need to carry it from this side. I need to be careful not to touch that. Just it makes it a lot easier to put it back in. And then we're not going to bolt it up right away. We're going to tilt it back and reconnect the connector underneath first thing, and then bring it down and bolt it in. Alright, for the connector now, I've pulled this slider off to the side there. Plug this in, and then you have to simultaneously go in while putting the slider in. Alright, and then reconnect up here. those screws, 65 Newton meters. And by the way, factory shop manual helps you on how to get your seat out of your car and put it back in. Has nothing about how to take the seat apart. And this piece is actually tricky to assemble because somebody did some work on this car for me once and damaged these pieces by trying to put it on too quickly, I guess. So what I have to do is put a screwdriver on top of this to get it underneath there when I'm assembling. So I've been driving this car for a few weeks now, and that did take care of the problem. So it turned out to be worth the effort.